Hello people, today is Friday, February 24th, 2017. As always, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about some video game stuff that is going down this week. There's a lot of cool things to talk about. First things first though, congrats to one of our big giveaway winners for subscribing to our new channel, Waste Time. That is Austin Putnam. He got his laptop. So thanks for playing, folks, but it looks like somebody who won big is Koei Tecmo and Neo, who has announced that Neo has surpassed sales of over 1 million digitally and physically. And that's cool because I've been saying that's a freaking awesome, underrated game. And the coolest part is that the developers are providing free DLC for celebrating the success of the game. With the new patch that's coming out today, everybody gets this really cool shiny gold set of armor. I like that shit. I think that stuff should be applauded, and I think more companies should take note and do stuff like that. But I'm sure you've probably seen or heard the biggest things in the news this week is definitely Nintendo Switch. Now, last week we talked about some leaks that happened, and it's funny because Nintendo actually came out and said those early leaks are actually criminals who stole Nintendo Switches, and they were going to come down hard on them. But for the rest of people, a lot of reviewers out there have gotten their hands on review units. Not us, because we're not cool enough, even though Watch Mojo did. What the top 5 things to come out of the box?
Also, honorable mention, we got the USB cable.
But the biggest thing to come out of people having their hands on Nintendo Switch is the half-bakedness of it and the lack of features. Now, I am still so excited for the Switch, even though it's got everything stacked against it, and I know my brain, my logical brain, should not be into this at all. But this news coming out is the first time my hype is starting to deflate a little bit, and reasonably so. People are reporting that there's some latency and connectivity issues with the Joy-Con controllers that attach to the Nintendo Switch itself. And that's a huge problem. If the joysticks and the controllers aren't working, then what do you got? Now, when this was initially reported, most people said, oh, a day one software patch will fix issues like this. But thanks to GameXplain and corroborated by a lot of other people that have the Switch, apparently it's a hardware-based issue, which could be problematic down the line. We don't know if this is a manufacturing issue or an actual overlooked flaw with the Nintendo Switch itself. Either way, I don't know. I hope it's good.
People are like, oh, just get the Pro Controller, and then you won't have a problem. I'm like,
you shouldn't have to do that. I think you do fine if you wait anyway, just because you're only gonna get Zelda right now. The rest of the good games come out months later. So if they fix it months later and you get it, then you get the console with all the games, and it actually fucking does what it's supposed to do. Apparently, one of the other big surprises is the fact that there's going to be no virtual console at launch, as well as all the multiplayer issues and problems that it's going to lack that has turned people off. A lot of people are really surprised that there's no virtual console at launch. I kind of saw it coming. The writing was on the wall. But nonetheless, it still is a cool feature that the thing should have. It probably will have down the line, but right now, that's basically what it comes to when you're an early adopter. When you go out and buy the thing day one, there's going to be problems. I'm not excusing any of the problems, but just saying. Regardless though, as soon as it comes out, I'm gonna get my hands on one. We're gonna break it all down, and we're gonna talk about it with like a before you buy and whatever else we do. So we got you covered. Just keep an eye out for that. But since we are talking about Nintendo, I do want to throw this up right now because we like to talk about stupid things that people make with video games, and this Smash winning screen with realistic clapping is the funniest thing we've seen all week. If you want to see the full thing, I linked it down in the description below, as well as everything else we talk about this week. Also, because like I said last week, I don't think we've been giving this game enough love. There's a new trailer for Injustice 2. It's like a story trailer, and it's awesome. I don't know, like it's hard for me to get hyped about some DC stuff, but Injustice, it totally works. This looks really cool. Interestingly enough, though, I noticed a lot of people complaining about how Superman looks in this. They say his face looks weird. What do you think? And in some PC news, AMD has announced RYZEN. This is their new big 8-core CPU processor. They're coming back in the game, and the most interesting thing is that they undercut Intel's most powerful CPU by like a couple $100, and that's really good. That being said, some people have problems with AMD, some people don't. It's very much like a PS4, Xbox type of thing. But I think the biggest and best thing about this and to look forward to is that it is launching at a competitive price, which is cool because then it prompts Intel to really get on their ass, and competition is usually just good for consumers. So I'm hoping this works out, and I'm very curious to see once people really start to get their hands on Ryzen. I want to see how it really does stack up. But since we are talking about AMD, let's talk about this crazy thing that popped up in the news. This story's crazy, and I kind of love it. Even though it has to do with murder, and I shouldn't love it, but now, of course, this can all be taken with a grain of salt, but according to reports, 2 software engineers in Russia who were drinking at a bar got in an argument over what's better, AMD or Nvidia, and which one essentially runs colder, and apparently it escalated into such an argument that the Nvidia guy on his side of the argument ended up stabbing the guy to death. and he got arrested and he admitted to it, and he's spending 9 years in prison for murdering a man over a graphics card. And that's crazy. I can't believe I even, as it was stumbling out of my mouth, I can't believe that's a real thing. Like, that's the hill you want to literally die on. Okay, dude. And in some other news, and I'm bringing it up because we haven't really heard from it in a while, Irrational Games, Ken Levine's studio, you know, the big BioShock developers, who the news came out a while back that it was kind of closing down and laying off most of its employees and reforming as a new studio for Ken Levine, a very smaller structured studio. Now the studio's official rebirth has been announced, and the studio is now called Ghost Story, and that's a cool name. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they put out, especially with someone like Ken Levine at the helm. But, you know, going for a more smaller scale type of game, I'm very curious to see what is going to go on here. I know it's probably going to be a few years until we actually get our hands on anything, but hey, I'm looking forward to seseeing what Ghost Story puts out. Tom, you know what time it is?
What time?
It's the Crackdown news update.
Woo!
Crackdown 3 is still alive, everybody. I hold on to any little bit of hope and any little glimmer of information that we get about this game, because, you know, you never know. There is an official video about Xbox game development out with one of the producers on Crackdown talking about how Crackdown 3 will have bigger explosions, obviously, but a bigger and more constantly evolving city with evolving weapons and cars similar to the first game, but on a bigger scale. It was also reiterated, and he said it from the horse's mouth, that Crackdown 3 is coming this year. That's all I needed to hear. I know it's not a lot of information, it's mostly just marketing, but it's still alive. Also, something popped up on Reddit and we saw it and we thought it was absolutely crazy. We have to share because people make awesome stuff. Mario Maker is seriously the gift that keeps on giving. I know nobody plays Wii U anymore, but you gotta look at this. This is just evil and cruel. Basically, how the level works is you get a power-up mushroom that turns you into a springboard, and then you enter a tube and enter an entire area where there's just a bunch of random springboards bouncing about. And good luck figuring out who you even are in this mess. It is crazy. I think that does actually make for something interesting. I'd love to play a game where that's the main mechanic, where you have to figure out who the hell you even are in a mess. But something we didn't talk about when it was announced, because honestly, I talk about video game movies and stuff as much as I can, and I try and hope that they come out decent, but they never seem to. Netflix has announced a Castlevania show that they are working on. And while we didn't bring it up, the newest news this week is that it looks like it's already very well in the works, because we got a poster for it. And there it is, Dracula's Castle. Looks exactly like what I expected. The Castlevania logo looks cool. I'm not saying that I think this could be good, because it could very well easily not be, but Netflix, you know, does a good job handling properties, so maybe we can wait and see here. Because that would be a pleasant freaking surprise if it turned out to be great. However, it's Konami who owns the rights, so they could just give it away to any old crap that they please, and they seem to be doing that. But you know what? I'll take Castlevania anything, seeing as we're not really getting any big Castlevania games anytime soon. Also, something that flew under our radar last weekend, some screenshots from the Final Fantasy VII remake. There's also some screenshots of Kingdom Hearts 3, but I'm really excited about the meat and potatoes here, Final Fantasy VII, and it looks really good. That looks like Final Fantasy VII, you know, reimagined, and I'm all about it. There's still so many questions up in the air about that one, like, you know, with the format of it releasing, but these screenshots look really damn good, and basically exactly what I was hoping for. It may just be too good to be true, but speaking of too good to be true, Mass Effect Andromeda has rolled out some hands-on previews that people got with the game, and some new information has come out that seems really interesting to me, at least. The best thing I thought was this quote, and this was reiterated by BioWare and Mass Effect themselves. The smallest Mass Effect Andromeda zone is larger than all of Dragon Age Inquisition. Now, that's Dragon Age Inquisition was pretty big. The squad mate with the least lines in Mass Effect Andromeda still has more than Shepard in Mass Effect 3. That sounds big, man. I don't know, like, you know, this is very different from when a few weeks ago they were scaling back statements saying, hey, it's not totally open as much as you would think, but this sounds like a huge game. And from the combat trailer last week and now this information about how big the game could really be, I'm finally starting to really get excited. But like I always say, and I probably sound like a broken record by now, time will tell. We'll definitely have to wait and see. But one last thing I did want to mention, I did get my hands on Horizon Zero Dawn really early. I played the shit out of it. I put out a before you buy on this channel, but I also put out a longer in-depth video of my thoughts on the game on my personal channel, Because Video Games. Go check it out over there, see what I had to say. If you want to ask me any questions about the game, I'll let you know over there. But of course, the biggest and last thing is that weekly console giveaway we do every single week. You know, there's a link down below. You click it, you sign up, you enter once, then you're entered forever, and then every single week we go in and randomly choose one winner to win a free console of their choice. This week's winner is going to be this person right here. Good job. do me a favor, keep an eye on your inbox, keep an eye on your spam box, because I'm going to get in touch with you to find out how I can send it to you. But that's it for this week, guys. It's been an interesting week. How you guys doing? What are you going to play this weekend? Let's talk about it. Let's also talk about the stories that are going on. What's the hardest Super Mario Maker level you've ever played? Also, have you played Neo yet? Are you one of the people who bought the first million? Because I think it's really good, and I want to know if you played it. Do you think this Castlevania Netflix series could actually be somewhat decent? Let me know what you think. But also, if you are one of the people that are still excited for a Switch, I know a lot of people out there are not. If you were excited, does this new information hurt your expectations at all? Let me know. Let's talk about that stuff down in the comments. I'll be there as much as possible. I'll also be on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Jake Baldino if you want to talk over there. But you guys know, thank you so much for coming around every week, talking with us, watching all our videos. Clicking the like button helps us out a ton, but you probably know that by now, and you also probably know subscribing is a good idea if you haven't, because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. I'm Jake Baldino. I'll see you guys next time. Pizza's on me.